What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dudes Who Bet Daily for July 15th, 2022, second day of the Saratoga meet. So we're going to talk some Saratoga here. We've got some best bets from the MLB from Papa Dude. We got Magic back. You know what that means? We're headed north. So we got a CFL pick for Magic. And then Aaron and I both have horses here. Aaron is in the middle of the drive to join me up here at Saratoga. So he'll pop in and out. We'll see if we get him or not. But let's start with what everyone really cares about, Magic. Tell me a little bit about your first day thoughts at Saratoga.
Listen, it's one of those cases where you get done with it and you're like, God, why were we so excited about Saratoga? When's first post tomorrow? Like it's great. It was a classic day of ups and downs and lefts and rights and, near misses. I think my top pick in the late pick 5 got second in 4 of the 5 legs. So that was great. Definitely didn't cash, but it was still fun. It's great that we had great weather for it. The dogs are all going nuts back there. Yeah, it was a good time.
Pretty wild. You have a pick 6 carryover where the late pick 4 paid $90. So that to me is just absolutely asinine. Like that's crazy. The late pick 5 pays $7,500. The late pick 4 pays $90. Again, absolutely wild that you're getting that big a variance from that. And there's an $89 winner to kick it off. But even 35-1 times 90 is $3,500. So it just shows you how one of those horses can blow up an entire sequence. I think the next highest horse in the entire sequence was 7-2. So that sets up $127,000 pick 6 carryover today. P.S. This pick 6 sequence is freaking wild. We've got 2 stakes. We've got the Coronation Cup. We've got the Forbidden Apple. Let's start with the Coronation Cup. Twilight Gleaming scratches out. Obviously a huge scratch. The 1 and the 2 also go out. Also big scratches from a speed perspective. We talked a little off air, Magic. How do you think this race is going to set up? What are your kind of initial thoughts here on the Coronation Cup?
Well, the first thought you have when you see it is a lot of horses that going to Monmouth. There were, I think, half the field was almost cross-entered in a stakes race tomorrow at Monmouth, and half of that group decides to scratch. And it took a lot of speed out of this. And you would think, well, there's still a lot of speed in here. There was already a lot of speed. So there's still some speed. I think it sets up well for a horse that can be tactical. We were talking off air. The 8 Poppy Flower for me is the one that can be tactical. You see the move from the Wesley Ward barn to the Mott barn for a turf sprinter. That's usually not a move. You're like, yeah, that's great. Bill Mott, not always great at specifically turf sprinting. He's only 8%, but that change of tactic last time out in the stakes race at Laurel leads to a victory, beat several of those horses you're going to see here, including Darien, who will probably be the morning line or probably be the post-time favorite now that we've lost Twilight Gleaming. So it sucks because this was a fun race. This was a heck of a handicapping headache, but we're still going to have fun. It's still a great group of fillies going to be sprinting on the turf.
It's still a handicapping headache, if you ask me. I mean, Poppy Flower is one of those that as someone who kind of relies on numbers, there's nothing to back up that last race, except for the fact it was first time 3-year-old on the turf, first time out of the Mott barn. So you can make an argument that is a legitimate number based on the changes that you saw from Poppy Flower. Artos also running well, 10-1 on the morning line here. I beat Darien last time, but that Pimlico form, you kind of want to throw it out for Darien and excuse it. It'll go back to the New York form, specifically breaks are made in Saratoga. 2 races later, wins again. 5.5 furlongs, much better distance for Darien as well. So kind of the deserving favorite in my mind there. I'm with Dennis here. I was on Static Fire before the scratches. And if you lose 3 speed and you're playing a horse that you think can wire the field, you kind of have to stick with your guns here. So I'm going to stay with Static Fire. But to me, you have a Jonathan Thomas shipper coming in, big time purchase price, the 11 horse who rolled up at Woodbine in debut. I think that horse looks awfully tough. And don't sleep on the 10 horse. I think it's Mystic Eyes, Mystic River, some mystic name.
Mystic Eyes, yeah.
And Pletcher, first time out off a longer layout for this horse, was very good turf sprinting at Saratoga. And now you're back at Saratoga, back turf sprinting, and really just one of the 2 speeds now. So if for some reason Static Fire can't go to the lead, has any type of issues, all of a sudden Mystic Eyes is a horse that you have to respect at 15-1 on the morning line. So I mean, we just talked about 6 of the 10 in this field, and you're saying it's not a handicapping headache.
Oh, I didn't mean that. It's less of a handicapping headache. It's still pretty tough. I know we were both excited, at least I think, as far as on top and win bets go. We were trying to beat Twilight Gleaming, so it's a little unfortunate we won't get to see her run. She is the defending Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint champion, so whenever you can see a Breeders' Cup champion in a race that's this size at a big day on Saratoga, it's always exciting. So it's unfortunate that she's going to be scratched. I heard the reason. I don't know if this is true, but I heard the reason is that they tightened the girth on her a little too tight earlier in the week, and there's a lot of inflammation now, and that's why she had to scratch. If that's why, that almost ranks up there with why Pletcher's Emmanuel got scratched from the Belmont Derby.
What about what's the workers' comp issue? I mean, we had a couple interesting ones over the last week as well over at NYRA. But yeah, that kind of a bummer to lose her for that reason. Like, hey, we were pointing toward this race or that race would have been nicer to hear versus, hey, we messed up and hurt the horse on accident. But, I'm sure we'll get to see her up here at some time, so I'm excited about that. And like you said, it's always fun when you're at, a random racetrack on a Friday and the underneath stakes features a Breeders' Cup winner. That's kind of crazy in and itself. Flip over to the Forbidden Apple. 2 scratches there, not either as large from a morning line perspective or competitive perspective, but one of the 2 Chad Brown scratches out. We often talk about why run 2 when one will do. You got to think that that's going to set up as a pretty interesting race now. You're going to have the favorite set piece on the rail, but Chad's got a runner here in the 7 as well.
Yeah, it's a horse that the Racing Dudes team is. We've been chasing him all year. It feels like as a 4-year-old. Was great at Saratoga. He's 3 for 3 here. Broke his maiden on debut for Chad Brown. Won a pair of graded stakes as the 3-year-old. You're just looking for him to take that big step forward as a 4-year-old, and it's a really hard thing to do for the horses when they're 3, and you see he was beating up on 3-year-olds until the end of the year. Well, now he's not only facing the same group as they turn 4, but now it's 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, horses that are so much more battle tested than he is. It might take this horse a little bit longer to get back in the winner's circle, but it feels like he's going to get another graded stakes win this year, Mike. The question is, what kind of a price do you get on him? Because I think now that we see Analyze It out, whether or not it's because Chad's confident in public sector, enough people will look at that and go, we got to play public sector now. So, I mean, are we looking at like 4-1, 7-2 for his odds here?
I mean, this race to me is a tough one from an odds perspective because public sector is going to take money. Obviously, you're going to see some money on the rail. I think a tone at 6-1, you're going to see some money come in there as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out. I mean, even your boy Scuttlebuzz sitting at the 11th post probably shouldn't be 15-1 there. And then Wolfie's Dynagos is in here. So Wolfie's Dynagos should be the favorite in any race he runs, just from my heart love for him. Look, I'm guessing you're going to get 7-2 in this spot, right? I mean, set piece goes off at 8-5. You're getting 3-1 or 7-2, somewhere in that range on public sector. Those are clearly the 2 competitors. I mean, Jared, I know likes a tone in this spot. I don't think you should sleep on a tone in this spot. Getting Pratt aboard, didn't like the lead last time. And if you want to talk about public sector and kind of this 4-year-old season as well, just real quick, it goes 1.8 miles to Churchill, comes back and runs 1 mile against Mason at Belmont. This horse likes 2-turn races more than 1-turn races. If you go back to like the Hall of Fame at Saratoga last year, where public sector kind of had a coming out party, that was a 2-turn mile at Saratoga. I think you're going to see something similar to that effort again here. That could be big for public sector. Oh boy, and we lost Magic again. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see these 2 stakes races, how they play out. Yeah, the pick 6 sequence is interesting. NYRA does change it to takeout, so it's important to note this. NYRA goes from 15% up to 24% for the takeout for these pick 6 sequences on carryover days. That being said, and it kind of sucks, it's a money grab from NYRA, but that being said, this is still going to be the best pool you're going to see. There's 127,000 sitting in there. Essentially, you're playing for free up until the $480,000 worth of new money coming in. My guess is we're going to get close to 700,000 in new money, somewhere in that range. This is going to be a very big, very tough pool. This specific sequence is extremely difficult as well. So I think you're going to see a big return here if you can hit it. There isn't a single in here in my mind. There's not a horse that you really can lean on. You're reaching for a single no matter where you go, be that set piece. If you want a single IRAD's 4-horse and $25,000 mile and 1/8 race a couple earlier, I think that's a horse you could single as well. I know some people talked about singling the 2 in the last. To me, that's a little aggressive. I think there's a couple runners in there, specifically the 5 and the 9 at prices that you could get home. So a lot of different directions you could go inside of this pick 6 sequence. You're also going to see a massive late pick 5 sequence because you have big fields, tough races, and a lot of people are going to do the work on the pick 6, miss that first race, which is a very tough race to kick off, and then roll it right back into the pick 5 sequence. So you're going to see some value there as well. I'm going to jump into the bets here as I've been just left alone by all of my cohorts. First off, Papa Dude playing back to the baseball. He is going with the New York Mets -140 today. Mets, one of the best teams in baseball, have a very good pitcher, very advantageous pitching matchup today. I'm assuming that's why Papa Dude is headed there. So Papa Dude headed to the Mets -140. We talked a little bit about Aaron's best bet here. He went with public sector, the number 7 horse. Chad Brown scratches out the 6, Analyze It, runs 7 public sector in the Forbidden Apple. We often talk about why run 2 when 1 will do. This is one of those scenarios where you see that Analyze It scratch is a positive for public sector. It's going to be interesting to see what type of number we get here. I think specifically Analyze It's out because there was speed in here. So public sector was probably going to try and set the pace or set up the pace for Analyzer was going to try and set up the pace for Public Sector. He had 4 speed horses sign on to this race, including Wolfie's Dynaghost and a couple others. So I think you're going to see quite a bit of speed early, and Public Sector is going to be absolutely rolling late. For my pick, I'm going to go to a price 2, and this was a stable up horse for me. I didn't get to do a stable up sequence on it, but we're going to head over to the third race here, the number 3 horse. If you go back and you watch, first off, both replays, really, this is a 1.1 miles maiden special weight race. This is going to be the third time we're going to see Whistler's Honor out of the Jorge Abreu barn. Jose Ortiz up again for this race. You go back to the first at Aqueduct, the horse broke slowly, was 4 wide, going 6 furlongs. This horse wants to go 2 turns, was able to make up some ground late. That last race, though, first time out as a 3-year-old, first off a long layoff at Belmont, going 1.1 miles. Literally, the horse never ran a step, never got the opportunity to run a step because of the trip that he got underneath Jose Ortiz. So this is one that I have in my stable. We're sitting at 9-2 on the morning line. I would love to get anywhere near that. If you go back, and I guess Magic's pulling up the replay here for us. So keep an eye here on, let's see what number we was. Looks like number 2 here, Whistler's Honor. So if you watch Whistler's Honor here, as you go through it, he's tied up on the rail here, and Jose's not able to get him loose. And when they turn into the stretch, it's the exact same thing. And a lot of these same horses were coming back. We're going to see, it's brutal. It's brutal. And then if you watch the gallop out too, which I don't know if they'll show, the 2 just runs by everybody. And you got Bondi, who's going to be the favorite, the 4 horse coming back here. As you can see, the 2 horse.
He's already stopped riding at that point. He knows he doesn't have any. Oh, look, and now he asked him, and look at him go right there. He's starting to move a little bit.
Well, why? I don't know if they're going to show the gallop out here, but if they do, I mean, when you watch where this 2 horse ends up here, after he actually gets able to stretch his legs a little bit and run, it is unbelievable how impressive the gallop out is here. So he's the one who's kind of weaving through traffic in the back there, and ends up galloping out past all these horses around the turn. So, he never got the chance to actually do work here. I'm going to go to the 2 horse or the 3 horse in this race here. 3 horse Whistler's Honor here is my play. Hopefully we can get 9-2 because I think that's a heck of a value. So 3 in race 3, give me Whistler's Honor. Magic, your best bet. Take us back to the CFL, baby.
Hey, look at that. We got legendary Lenny. A legendary person in the chat loves Whistler's Honor with you, too. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Sorry about that. Some issue with the power. We're going to the CFL. 2 undefeated teams, Calgary at Winnipeg. This is going to be an interesting spot because they also play each other again next week doing a home-and-home series. Winnipeg is 5 games right now. They're undefeated, like I said. 3 of their last 4 have been on the road. Winnipeg is actually at home. The last 2, both of those were on the road. So they're at home. Their next 3 games, Mike, are all on the road. So Winnipeg, they're invigorated. They're home. This is the time to play them. I think probably next week at Calgary, they're probably going to lose straight up. So we're going to play them here. Calgary is undefeated in 4 games, but they are just 2-2 against the spread. Winnipeg is 3-2 against the spread. Calgary has 2 wins against the spread. Both of their last 2 games, home and home against Edmonton. Edmonton is not a great team. Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they're in contention for the Grey Cup, as is Calgary. So a much tougher team here. I think Calgary, they're going to get beat here, and watch for me next week to play Calgary back against Winnipeg.
I love it. I love the random CFL segment that we've got going here.
About my MLS pick from the other day, by the way. The leading scorer in Major League Soccer scratched out of the game after he found out I picked them to get the over. We needed 3 goals. They got 1 in the game because the leading scorer didn't play. I
mean, I would go with the fact that you changed off a plus 175 winner to a minus 140 loser. But hey, whatever you want to talk about, that works for me, man. And yeah, it was a rough start to the week. It's been a rough start to the week for us. I messed up yesterday. I played a double with the 6 into the 4 high tide. I should have just played the 4 high tide. That killed me. Aaron doesn't get the best trip ever. And then, the coach can't get a horse home there, and the 9 costs him the win there. So we're started off a little bit slowly here, but we're going to pick it up. Let's take a quick review here of the bets that we're looking at for today before jumping off. Make sure you join us every Wednesday through Sunday. We're going to have this sequence. We're going to talk a lot about Del Mar, a lot about Saratoga moving forward. All right, so here are the picks. Aaron, race 9 at Saratoga. He's playing the number 7 Public Sector, 6-1 on the morning line. Probably going to get about 7-2. Magic's taking the Blue Bombers, given the 3.5. We got Papa Dude on the Mets, minus 140. I am headed to Saratoga as well. Give me Whistler's Honor in the 3rd race, 9-2 morning line. I think we're going to get every bit of it. Hopefully we can roll home after some trip trouble. All right, thank you very much for joining Dudes Who Bet Daily. We will see you again tomorrow at noon.
And Tournament Challenge. Don't forget, we've got the Tournament Challenge later today. If you haven't signed up, there's already over 20 people. The pool for the purse is already $200. Lots of cash prizes. Go to racingnews.com and sign up for that. And we will be live here at what time? 4:30 Central. 5:30 Eastern.
I will be at the racetrack, hopefully doing hits from the paddock as well for the last 2 at Saratoga.
You're on this side of me. You're never on this side of me. It threw me off there.
Sometimes we host, sometimes we don't.
Good luck with your bets, everybody. We'll see you back here in a little bit.